I'm a fan.
Recording? Yeah. Okay, we're recording. I'm Skye.
I'm Elizabeth.
And welcome to Histories, Mysteries, and Conspiracies.
Today, Skye's going to be talking about the dark history of Poveglia Island.
All right, let's get to it. I am super excited to talk about this. So Poveglia Island is also known as the Poveglia Plague Island, and it is also known as Italy's most haunted island. And as soon as I heard this, I was like, I have to figure out how many islands Italy has. And you know how sometimes when you Google things and Google just takes like a snippet out of Wikipedia and it puts it in that big box in bold so it answers your question? It just said 2, which that is not right at all. There's like
just thinking
30.
about like a map of Italy. I feel like that's very wrong.
It was very wrong.
I can't get on Wikipedia and change that.
2. Well, it was like taken way out of context. Like it was an article that was like, this island is one of 2 on this coast or something weird. But yeah, there's like 30. There's a lot.
Way more than 2.
Way more than 2. Anyway, so Poveglia Island is a small island in the Venetian Lagoon in northern Italy.
Sounds like a nice vacation spot.
Yeah.
That might change throughout this.
Possibly, just a little. Now, this island, as of today, looks most like a Wi-Fi symbol. With 3 things. So here, look at this picture.
It does.
So there's a dot, and then there's like this middle chunk. We'll call the dot Island 1 or segment 1.
Okay.
The middle section segment 2, and then the big wideband section segment 3. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So a canal separates the 2 parts of the island, which are segment 2 and segment 3, because segment 1 was added on later. We'll get there.
Ooh.
And some records indicate that there were settlements in the area as early as 2000 BC. But that's vague, whether it's on the island or on mainland Italy, wherever. Because there's nothing that like says specifically that people are on Poveglia. I'm sorry, I just burped. Poveglia specifically during this time. Just power through the burp. Now, the first inhabitants of this island were in 421 AD when people from Padua and Este fled to this island to escape barbarians.
Oh gosh.
And then in 840 or 864, but like they didn't stay, so they stayed there a little bit. Then as soon as things chilled out, they went back. And then in 864, the governor was killed and 200 of his slaves fled to the island. So it's kind of like a little sanctuary.
It's like a refugee area.
Yeah.
Safe space.
And then at this point, there was a steady increase in population. So people started to stick around. At least the slaves did. And then I have no idea what happens for 500 years. And then in 1379, Venice was attacked by a Genoan fleet and the people of Poveglia. Oh, no. So they did stay there. Okay. I don't know why I missed that. But they did stay. And then they moved to Giudecca, which is another island in the same lagoon. Just little island hoppers. And then the next year in 1380, the Venetian government built octagonal forts to protect the entrances to the lagoon, and the one on Poveglia is still standing. So that's segment 1, that little dot of the Wi-Fi symbol. That is a fort that they built, yes. And there's other forts there that were built in the 16th century. I think the one on Poveglia was built in 1380. Websites were all over the place with this, so I don't know if it was built when it was, but it was sometime between 1300 or the 1380 and 16th century.
So it's real old.
It's real old, yeah. All right, so the government tried to put people on the island, but it just couldn't for some reason. So they tried to have monks inhabit the island in the 1500s, and they were like, nah, no thanks, let pass. In the 1570s and in the 1630s, various islands, including Poveglia, served as quarantines and dumping grounds for masses of corpses because they didn't want to put... Okay, I'll get into it more, but they didn't want to put the bodies on mainland because they didn't have room for them.
If you could see my face right now.
We're starting to get into the creepy stuff.
I don't like that.
So these were called lazaretto, which is basically means a quarantine station for maritime travelers. And the lazaretto became a thing in the 1400s. because they didn't have enough room for bodies on the mainland, which is just said, and they were worried about the spread of disease. So, like, even though it was the 1400s, Italy was on top of diseases.
They got their public health control, like,
yes,
figured out.
They were so ready.
This public health nerd is real happy about that.
I'm going to actually take a little sidebar. When I studied abroad in Rome, it was on the Tiber River, and there's like a little island in the middle of the Tiber River, which I can't remember the name of now anymore. And there's a hospital on there, and it's been around for hundreds of years, and it's still operating today. And it's just like on this island in the middle of the river, and that's the only thing that's there, except for maybe like a restaurant. But like
so they would just like ship sick people to the middle of the river.
Well, like people were coming down the river.
Oh, and they just stop them,
and then they could quarantine it because it was on an island. So they could just close the bridges.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Good job, Italy.
Italy's cool. Okay. Continuing. So Lazaretto Vecchio, which is in the same lagoon, was the first ever Lazaretto. That's just a fun fact.
Good to know.
There you go.
So they were really on top of this public health thing.
If it's ever on like a Jeopardy question, you got that. So continuing with the public health thing, Venice had some of the strictest sanitary laws out of anywhere in the world. So, yeah. And people were shipped to these, I forgot what they're called, lazarettos, if they had the plague or even if they suspected they had the plague. So if you're coughing, sneezing, allergies, whatever, you're gone. You're done. So you're out. And it didn't matter who you were. Like you could be super rich, a noble, you were still done.
Dang.
Yeah. And they also, I mean, obviously, even mental health was bad 30 years ago. So like how that was taken care of. So even if you were kind of had mental health issues, you were also sent to a lazaretto.
Oh my gosh.
Now, this is also another Jeopardy fact for you. The term quarantine was actually coined by Venice because it came from the name of the duration of the stay. Because they were supposed to spend 40 days in quarantine on these islands where they either died or recovered.
You got two options.
And when it's the plague, high likelihood it's going to be one over the other. Just saying. And it was actually called Quaranta Giorni. So
that sounds a lot fancier than quarantine.
Yeah.
Italy makes everything sound fancy.
I know, especially food. I was just going to say, especially like gelato.
Oh my gosh.
It's just
fancy ice cream.
It's better though.
So better. Now I want gelato.
All right, so now things are kind of getting hairy. In 1776 or in 1777, a bunch of websites said different things, so I'm not sure here. The island became a checkpoint for all goods and the people coming to and going from Venice by ship. And as I was learning about this, I was like, just imagine having to be in this line, like to go through this checkpoint. You're in your ship. Like, hurry up, I have to go.
It's like being stuck in traffic on the way back from up north this weekend for Labor Day weekend.
Basically. It was so... And this thing was they were super thorough with these. So they checked the people and all the supplies that were on the ship.
Oh my gosh.
Like
that could take a long time.
So this was done by... there's two names for it. It's either the Magistrate of Health or it also... Some articles call it the Public Health Office. So either way, they had that in the 1700s, which is pretty cool. And the ships had to pass a rigorous inspection. In 1793, 2 ships came in with several passengers having the Black Plague.
Here we go.
Big bummer. So at this point, the island, Poveglia Island, became a lazaretto once again. So I'm not sure at what point it stopped being a lazaretto. Like, I think it just, like, in 1776, it became a checkpoint. But if there were people on that island... chilling out with illness, I have no idea what happened to them. Like,
interesting.
I don't know. Maybe they just were like, we should stop this for a while, let these people die off, and then move out. I don't know what happened. But anyway, so in 1793, it was a lazaretto again. And then English soldiers used I think this is just a fun fact. Oh, nope, this has to do with death. Okay. So... English soldiers used the octagon fort. Okay, they called it the octagon, so that's why this is. I was like, I'm really confused. They just called it the octagon. So the English soldiers used the octagon during the Napoleonic Wars to ambush French commandos. Is commando? I wrote it down. I'm going with it. I feel confident. It is said that the prisoners were taken ashore and burned. So that's on segment 2 and 3 of the island. And destroyed French ships still decorate the bottom of the lagoon around the octagon. How fun. And then the lazaretto was closed again in 1814. So it was only like that for like 20 years-ish. But it would open up again anytime an epidemic or an outbreak came about. Just get them out of there. So this is where it starts to get really dark. The island became so full of mass graves, and they would burn the bodies to make more room. It is said that the island contains the remains of over 100,000 bodies. However, on one website, it also said 160,000. So
either way,
it's a really
lot.
big number. And, I mean, people have inhabited the island for...
And the island doesn't look like it's that
almost
big.
2,000 years. It's not. Very small, yeah. So, like, you can look at this picture of this island. These are buildings.
I mean, yeah, you can make out individual buildings from, like, a pretty close overhead view.
Yeah.
Just a nice drone camera.
It's
up there.
It's not very big. So, the soil of this island is 50% human ash.
Oh, hell no.
Local lore says the grave pits were on the larger section. So that I wrote in my notes, top of the Wi-Fi symbol. So that's segment 3. So that there's no buildings there. You can see how it's just like plains. That's where like most of the ashes were. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then in the this is just like kind of adding up to these numbers because a lot of people are like, oh, these numbers sound fake. But in the plague of 1576 alone, Venice, just Venice, lost 50,000 people. And there were at least 22 outbreaks in the plagues in the 200 years before that.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, once you hear that, you're like, 100,000 doesn't seem that improbable.
Thank God for Western medicine.
Right. So it was closed in 1814, and then it was closed for like 100 years. Then in 1922, the island's buildings, because there was like a hospital. Yeah, I'm assuming it was a hospital. Mm-hmm. They became repurposed as housing for the mentally ill. And we, like I just mentioned, what mentally ill was is pretty lax. So if you had an urgent itch, so like if you're just super itchy, you could get sent to Poveglia. Yep. And it also housed, in a quotes, aged indigent. I should have looked up. How do you spell it? Indigents? Indignants? I don't know. Wait, look, right here. This word in the quotes. Aged indigents.
Indigents.
Is that how you'd say that? Should we ask Google?
Google, please help me.
Indigent. Okay, one of those. I think I said that once. So they housed aged indigents, which actually Ransom Riggs, he wrote the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. He wrote that book. He wrote an article. He visited Poveglia Island and wrote this article about it, and there's pictures, and
oh my goodness.
I wrote somewhere on here the name of the article, but I didn't because I think it's Mental Floss. I don't know. There's also, I got some info from Mental Floss article and then historicmysteries.com. But Ransom Riggs wrote this article. And he explains that what that means is basically old homeless people. So they just put old homeless people on this island to die, essentially.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And like some of the people on Italy, like today, they're not really proud of Poveglia. So if you talk about it and you're like,
blame them.
Yeah, it had a mental hospital. They're like, no, it didn't. It basically had a retirement home. Like that's what they'll say, that it wasn't anything bad. But there's literally a sign on the island that Ransom Riggs found, which says like it was a psychiatric thing. I don't know. A psychiatric department. That's what it says. Like proving that it was a mental hospital. And there are also bars on the windows, which I don't know why.
I don't think you'd have those on like a typical hospital.
No. There's a lot of old people that live around here, and I don't see any bars on their windows.
No, just flowers.
Just flowers.
And like window boxes.
Yeah. Just window boxes. So there was that. However, the doctor who ran this hospital was a horrible man. He ran brutal experiments on the patients, including lobotomies, usually performed against the patient's will.
Well, yeah, I don't think anyone would
and
want
without
that.
Anesthesia.
That's good.
He used hammers, drills, and chisels. And he supposedly took, quote-unquote, special patients to the bell tower, where he performed the worst experiments. The cries and screams from these patients could be heard throughout the island. And the doctor had his own mental health issues, and some claim it was the spirits of his victims who mentally tortured him and drove him to insanity. Others just say it was karma. But I mean, he died.
Either way, it's fair.
Either way. He died after falling from the bell tower, which is also the oldest structure. This is just a fun side note. It's the oldest structure on the island, built in the 12th century.
Oh my gosh.
And it was part of a church that was destroyed hundreds of years earlier. But anyway, he died after falling from the bell tower. Some say it was a suicide. Some say the spirits of the island or patients pushed him off of the tower, like current patients.
I mean, I don't blame them.
Right. But he survived the fall.
What?
He survived the fall, but when he landed, a nurse saw a strange mist surrounding his body, and it strangled him, and then he died right shortly after.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Isn't that crazy?
That island's probably super haunted.
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably the people that he seriously injured coming back for their last revenge.
And then the hospital closed in 1968, and the island was once again abandoned. So today, the island is extremely difficult to enter. It's illegal to visit, and then some of the local fishermen will go super far out to not even get close to the island, and they have a fear of catching bones from the island because they're just hanging out on the shore.
This literally sounds like something from the scariest movie ever.
So crazy. And then some of the charred bones still wash up on the shores of Poveglia. And then, yeah. Oh, okay. So Ransom Riggs talks in his article. He talks about how the locals don't really mention the island. They'll mention the island, but they don't mention the plague pits or the mental hospital. And they say they're not afraid of the island and that there's no reason to be.
So basically, they're all just living in super denial.
Yeah, probably.
I don't blame them. That seems like a good way to cope.
And some of the people who have visited the island report the feelings of being watched, touched, or scratched.
I'm never going.
I heard about this island when I was watching Ghost Adventures, actually.
Yes.
Such a fun show. And I think it's season 2 or something like that. But they go to the island and then they talk about the history. And then when they're there at night, it's so crazy. He goes to
people would go there at night.
Oh yeah, that's have you ever watched Ghost Adventures?
No, because I get really scared of stuff like that.
They spend overnight wherever they were at. So they spend the night there, and he, the main guy, Zach, he goes to the segment 3 with the plague pits, and they have a camera set up there all night, and it's just it's just eerie, just this field. And there's a chair there, and I think a little fire pit. On this island, people are just having a little bonfire, chilling with
great place to throw
dead
a rager.
People with
nice.
With the bodies of 100,000 people and 50% human ash. Casually, it's fine.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm really glad that island's on the other side of the world from us.
I know, all the way across an ocean.
Hop across the pond real quick.
Just real quick. But yeah, these buildings are still standing, and they have
that's crazy.
They have, what are they called? They're scaffolding to keep the buildings up, which I think is interesting. They're not building onto it. And
they're trying to preserve it, basically.
I don't know if they're trying to preserve it or just trying to prevent it from falling into the ocean, because it's or the sea, because it's right the building is right on the edge of segment 2. But when Ransom Riggs went there, he talks about how he didn't feel creeped out by it, but he did go during the day, and his boat driver, while he was exploring the island, set up a nice little picnic for them.
Well, how polite.
And on the island, so he could just chill. But if you look at pictures of it from afar, it's oh, how quaint.
Yeah, it
what a normal little cute little place. And
then you learn more about it, and you're
yeah, and then you see stuff like this, and you're a little less quaint.
Oh my gosh.
Just creepy little bed and
that's
spooky
messed up.
Yeah. So it's pretty spooky. It's pretty spooky.
The plague killed 1 out of 3 Europeans, according to this. That is so sad. 191 Google reviews. What are people?
Who are you people?
Best place. I loved it. In all caps. This place would be really nice to see.
I mean, those are my type of people. I want to talk to those people.
I visited. Enjoyed a lot. I had seen Friendly Ghost.
I mean, out of 100,000 of them, some of them got to be good. But there's there are all these there's these theories that the mad doctor haunts the island, and he if he was possessed by a demon, the demon is on the island and he attacks people and all this stuff. You look like you want to say
That's so scary. No, these reviews, like if you're ever bored, just Google Poveglia Island Google reviews. Very nice there. Dead people there. Ghostbuster is one. Ghostbuster. 5 stars. Don't go here. 1 star from 5 months ago.
I feel like that person didn't go.
I wouldn't blame them. I am scared. Scary. People are really creative with their Google reviews. But someone commented Wi-Fi. Just Wi-Fi.
Yes! They have the same belief as me that it looks like a Wi-Fi symbol. It's the Wi-Fi island.
Seriously, there is some good information in these reviews, but like...
Ooh, you can watch... If you Google, you can go Ghost Adventures Poveglia Island. You can find videos of it. So when you're... At least watch the... Okay, so if you've never seen Ghost Adventures... That's okay, but like the first half of the episode, they go into the history of the place, which is always my favorite part. And it's during the daytime. And then the second half, they're actually spending the night. So just watch the first half, get the gist.
See, I love learning about all of this stuff, but like watching is another story. I'm not the best with that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I mean, the pictures of the other islands around there are quite beautiful. Maybe go to one that's less haunted.
I mean, if you do want to visit an island in Italy, though, it does say this is Italy's most haunted island. So, by that logic, there has to be some that are less haunted.
On a scale of 1 to Poveglia Island, how haunted is this? Asks travel guide before going.
It's like, how would you rate this trip on a 1 to 5? Now, how would you rate this place on hauntedness on a scale of 1 to Poveglia? Definitely a 3.
So I'm going to start planning all my vacations from now on.
How should we wrap it up? We know how to wrap this up.
We do.
I forgot how do we wrap our
Stay weird.
Stay weird. Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Perfect.
Goodbye.
Bye.